And good evening, everyone, and welcome to King Jordan Radio. Thank you for joining us for January 21st, 2016. Tonight on the show, we will have a lot of topics to get into, but first of all, I want to welcome all the fans around the world listening to us via iTunes. Tonight on the show, we will be talking about El Chapo, the Netflix series, which is very popular, Making a Murderer. We'll get our guest's opinion on that. The leaked email in the Bill Cosby case is very troubling, and will that have any power to unhold to stop the trial? We'll find that out. We'll talk about former WWE superstar Jimmy Snuka being charged 35 years later in the death of his girlfriend back in the late 60s, early 70s, and of course the passing of David Bowie, Glenn Frey, and others. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are honored and privileged to be joined with CNN, a legal analyst and defense attorney here in New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, with great pleasure, let's bring into the program Mr. Richard Herman. Good evening, Richard. How are you?
King Jordan, I am so happy to be with you. Happy, healthy New Year to you and to all your listeners. You have such devout listeners. These people text me and message me on Facebook. They're so excited that your shows are on every week, and they're really wonderful, wonderful people. And it's a tribute to you, my friend, because you come on and you bring it every week, and we all appreciate it.
Thank you so much. But before we proceed, who do you got for the? Give me your picks for this weekend, and then subsequently give me your picks for the whole show. Super
All right,
Bowl.
it's over. It's over. You can just go to the bank right now. It's over. What's going to happen is
on tape now.
Okay, you can do it. Carolina, Cam Newton. MVP today, Cam Newton, Carolina. This is the real deal, people. They are the best team in the National Football League. They will win this week, and Carolina will win the Super Bowl. They will absolutely win the Super Bowl. Cam Newton is on a roll. The team is a great team with a great coach, and most importantly, they're having fun. And when teams have fun and score like they're scoring and play defense like they're playing, they're really unbeatable, and I think that the Cardinals are going to find out the hard way this week. On the other game, that's a great matchup. You know, once again, Manning, Brady. Manning could be his last game, probably will be his last game. I never thought he was going to get up after the hit he took in that last game, that blindside hit, but he did. And I know he wants it bad, but I don't think he can throw a 25-yard square out anymore, and you have to be able to throw that as a pro quarterback. And you got Tom Brady, and you got Edelman, and you got Gronkowski, and, you know, it's just Bill Belichick, and it's the playoffs, and Manning has a little history of choking in the playoffs, and it's tough to win in Denver.
But he has great defense, to be fair.
Yeah, tough to play in the fourth quarter. Tough to play fourth quarter in Denver with the altitude, but just remember, they put New England at 3-point favorites on the road in a playoff game, which is kind of unheard of. So that they're telling you something with that. I think Brady's going to be too tough. I think New England's going to the Super Bowl. New England, Carolina, and I know Denver's got a great defense, and they're, you know, I know all that, but I just think New England's going to be 2-step, 3-step drop throw, and they're going to eat them up that way. And I think that Cam Newton is going to lead his Panthers to the promised land this year. They look like a very, very tough, unbeatable team.
You don't give Arizona a shot Sunday night?
I give Arizona no shot, and I give, unfortunately, very little shot to Manning. Even though he had 5 or 6 drop passes last week, and they should have been caught, I just don't think he can throw the pass that he needs to throw anymore. He's great at signal calling. He's great at the audibles. and he was phenomenal last week in audibling off runs and everything. But I just think he's going to need everything this week against New England, and I just don't think that they match up well. I think New England is a superior team, and I think Manning, look, I hope he makes it through the game okay.
Yeah, to say the least. But in any event, let's take a look at Sean Penn as he talks to Charlie Rose about his meeting with El Chapo, and then I'll get your thoughts on the other side.
We're going to begin with Sean Penn. He is setting the record straight about his secret interview with the world's most notorious drug lord. Penn denies reports that his meeting led to the capture of El Chapo, and ABC's Matt Gutman is in Los Angeles with the story. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, George. Penn says he was stunned that El Chapo risked meeting him, but accuses the Mexican government of setting him up by calling him essential to El Chapo's capture, putting him right in the cartel's crosshairs.
This morning, actor Sean Penn speaking out about meeting the world's most wanted drug lord.
I was stunned that he would risk our trip. I was stunned.
Insisting to 60 Minutes Sunday night that his secret jungle meeting with El Chapo, facilitated by Mexican soap opera star Kate Del Castillo, didn't tip off authorities.
There is this myth about the visit that we made. We had met with him many weeks earlier in a place nowhere near where he was captured.
But Penn hints the Mexican and U.S. governments may have used him as a patsy, and that El Chapo, the man blamed for thousands of deaths and supplying a quarter of the narcotics in the U.S., may actually be a scapegoat.
I think that to over-demonize any human being is not in our best self-interest.
The Mexican government says it got El Chapo by tracking Del Castillo, with whom the drug lord was smitten. It was only because of Kate Del Castillo that Penn got the interview. In one exchange of text messages, El Chapo admitting he had no idea who the actor was, even mangling his name in this video testimonial for the two actors. Penn now concedes there's a chance he's in El Chapo's crosshairs.
They've dealt with law enforcement issues for a long time. They've dealt with misinformation for a long time. There are irrational people, and so I can't say for sure, that there's no risk.
He's full of regret, he says, but not because of the danger, but because the article failed to bring about a debate about the war on drugs.
My article's failed. Let me be clear. My article has failed.
Penn also lamented the current state of journalism. Of course, he and Rolling Stone very controversially agreed to give the drug lord editorial control over the article, which El Chapo apparently didn't use. He may have been too busy running from the Mexican Marines. George, Lara.
They stirred up so much with this.
Very controversial.
Richard Herman, your take on Sean Penn and El Chapo, the situation that went down with this.
Let's just understand that El Chapo, who was the number one target of the Mexican government and other governments too for dealing drugs, was incarcerated in Mexico in a maximum security facility. And he escaped from his cell on a little railroad underneath the prison and got out. Now he's out, and again, he's even wanted even worse than he was before. What is Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High? What is he doing even trying to reach out to this guy for number one? What point is this actor, trying to prove by doing an interview with a fugitive, someone who broke out of a maximum security facility? What did he think he was going to gain by this? He failed. You're damn right he failed. And he probably had something to do leading to the capture of El Chapo. I cannot believe he is sleeping cleanly these days. This guy would go to prison guards, from what I hear and from what I've read, and said, listen, I want this, I want this, I want this, and if I don't get it, your family, all their heads are going to be chopped off. So people would give him whatever he wanted when he was in prison because he was that powerful. So, 1 and 1 is 2. Cats don't chase dogs. That's what one of my clients once told me. And Penn does the interview, and then shortly thereafter, El Chapo gets caught again. So was he instrumental in the Mexican government finding him? I don't know if he was instrumental. I think he probably had something to do with it. We won't know. I think it was an absolute blunder and ridiculous for Sean Penn to go seek this guy out and try to interview him. And I don't know what the upside of it was, really. And now he's looking to be extradited to the United States because certainly Mexico doesn't want him. They can't handle him there. So now we want him. And this extradition procedure will probably go a lot faster than the Affluenza kid who's hanging out there in Mexico where we're trying to extradite him. But I don't know. I think pretty soon El Chapo will be in the United States. I think New York wants him. New York jurisdiction wants him. So once he gets into New York, MDC, MCC in New York, they're going to have him in a lockdown unit and bring charges, and this guy's going to die in prison. I mean, that's just where it's at right now for El Chapo. And as far as Sean Penn goes, you know, I don't know. Has he done anything recently, any kind of movie? I don't know. So, look.
Yeah, a lot of people had issue with him trying to take this interview. They wanted to know what his motive was trying to get an interview. Yeah.
What was his motive? I don't know. He's an actor. Let's make a movie and see if he can make a good movie. He hasn't seemed to have made one in a while. So, you know, let's see him make a real movie and do his craft. This is not his craft interviewing people like El Chapo. And again, I don't know what he was trying to prove, say about the drug. What are you going to do about the drug war? This guy's a ruthless criminal. I mean, what do you think you're going to prove by interviewing him? Try to show a human side of this guy? I mean, I really, it was an absolute stupidity on behalf of Sean Penn, and you know, now he's paying the piper for this one. I think he's got to be nervous that this guy is going to blame him and send some people after him. I think that's pretty real, actually.
Excellent point. Okay, the next story is will Scott Walker pardon Stephen Avery? Here's the background, and we'll get your take on the other side.
Hundreds of thousands of people have signed a petition begging for government officials to pardon Stephen Avery, the subject of the widely popular Netflix documentary series Making a Murderer. Well, unfortunately, since he wasn't convicted on a federal level, the president or federal officials are unable to grant him a pardon. However, Scott Walker, who is